Okay, so today we are going to manage adult education. So I'm going to share my screen and we will get started. So just like any other time, I'm going to start out on my dashboard. We've already signed in and got everywhere that we needed to go. Does everybody see my screen so far? Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to go and we're going to manage adult education. Every other time we've gone right here or we've gone over here and we've assisted a new individual. This time we're not going to assist individuals. We're actually going to manage our whole classes. So we're going to go to the manage adult education section. And so if you go down here to the services for workforce staff, you will see that about midway down, almost close to the bottom, there's manage adult education. And if you hover over there, there's three sections. There's manage classes, manage class transfer, and then manage attendance. And this is where we do bulk things. It's not one at a time. Um, it's more where we do it all. Sorry, I'm putting one more person in here. It's where we do everything 4, 5, 6 people at a time, or even 2 people at a time. But it's also where we manage our classes. And in order to manage our classes, or in order to put people in our classes, we have to manage them and we have to create them. There's going to be one more thing added to this section, and we'll have a specific training on that once it gets up and running. I tested it and asked them to do some more tweaking on it, but there's a fourth section that says manage professional development. So all of our professional development will go into this section as well. So they're tweaking and working on that as well. So we're going to start off with manage adult education classes. It's the very first one. You can either click on it and then it'll take you to a screen where you have to click on it again. So it's one more step. So don't worry if you accidentally click on there. It's just going to take you to a screen that says create and edit classes. Or you can go straight across and click on create or edit classes. So I'm going to show you that both ways will get there. So you can go right here to manage classes. And just like if you went across to where it said create/edit, it'll say that right here at the top. Same thing, it's just eliminating that one extra step. So for us, we're going to create/edit a class, and I'll walk you through the steps on how to do that. The first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to filter for classes that may already be in your center. And so as you already see, I'm in Southeast right now. So the Learning Center is, and they've got me in CERC in the training site. So you'll see that's already grayed out. Um, so the county or the borough, where is it located? So I'm going to choose Juneau for me. And then the learning center, where is it at? And I'm going to choose Juneau as well. And I'm going to filter. And I can see that there's several that's been made in this training site. And I'm going to look through and see if any of these ones, do I see any of them that have already been made? I'm going to, for time's sake, say no. And I'm going to say I'm going to add a new class. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to add a new class and I'm going to add a class description. So you can already see I've made Wendy's Basic Math, but I want to be able to find it again. So I'm going to say, since we have all of our characters, let's go Learning Disney 101. And that's what my class is going to be. The next thing I have to do is these ones up here are going to stay. That's already going to be filled in for you. I have to decide, is this going to be an orientation class? Is it going to be a pathway? Is it EL? Is it a high school equivalency class, an IET, or an IELCE or an IET? Is it in corrections? Is it a community corrections program? or is it an adult ed class? So I'm going to come down a little bit so you guys can see all the different levels that it is. Oops, I'm sorry, I went down too far. And for me, I'm going to say this is a basic skills class. And then I have to decide where I'm going to put this. So it's going to be in Juneau, but I can say that it's in Hoonah with my tutors if I wanted to. But for me, I'm going to say it's in Juneau. The Learning Center is going to be in Juneau. And then it is not mandatory that you have a primary and secondary teacher or instructor or tutor, but it definitely, you can help keep this organized by putting in a tutor or a primary instructor or secondary instructor, but you don't have to have those. Anything with a red asterisk you have to have, anything without you do not. But for me, I'm going to go down. Sorry if this makes you dizzy, but my name is way at the bottom. And there I am. So I'm going to choose me. I do have to have a class start date. I'm going to back this one up way back to 8:30. And then I'm going to say this one ends, let's go 11:30. Let's go 6:30, 2021. And then what kind of attendance type am I taking on this class? Is it face-to-face? Is it distance ed? Or is it both? I'm going to say that it's both, distance ed and face-to-face. And then what is this class? It automatically is active, but you can make this inactive. I don't know why you would create one and make it inactive, but you can. You can close it or you can hold it. If you're making a new class, the two that I would primarily use is you can make it an active class or you can put it on hold. Say you're making a class that starts in January, you don't have to make it active yet. You can put it on hold and wait until January to make that an active class. But we're going to go ahead and make it an active class. The maximum number of students, let's see, I'm going to put 10 in that class. And then there's a maximum number of students that are allowed over that 10. So let's just say that you have, the reason why this one, and it's not even a necessary question, it's not an asterisk. You can leave it at 0, but let's just say that you have an orientation class and you've got 10 people that you can put in that class at any given time. But you know that from your experience that, 8 of them usually show up. So you can put 2 extra students on here because then, if you have 2 extra that you can allow in that class, maybe you could find some different room in there, or maybe you can squeeze them in there, not during COVID, but in a different time. So maybe you allow 2 extra people, but the maximum number that you're really comfortable with is 10, but you could stretch it to 12. You can always put an extra 2 on there. You don't have to, and it will allow you just to put 10. There's a comment section. You can put in the box what this class is about. Learning Disney history. And then again, it's not necessary to have a comment section, but you always can. And then you do not have to have the meeting days or times, especially if it's distance ed, but they will print off on the student's schedule. So if you know that you're going to meet Monday through Thursday, let's say I'm meeting Monday and I'm going to meet 11 a.m. to 11:30. That just seems unnecessary, but that's okay. I can click on these and it will copy them for me. I can change it, doesn't have to be there. Maybe this day, instead of 11:30, maybe I'm meeting to 12. Maybe this day I'm going to meet until 12. Maybe I'm changing the hours, but you can always click on them and it'll copy it down below. And then all you have to do is hit save and it will save that class for you. And now that class is saved in there. You don't have to go to a second screen. It's not going to take you and make you do it all over again. But if you do a search, and I think I have 2 in here that has Disney, but let's see what we come up with. I'm going to try to narrow it down as much as possible. And filter. You can see that there's the class that I just made, Learning Disney 101. Now, say that I have that class and that one meets 4 days a week, and I want to create another class that meets 2 days a week on the same topic. And I'm going to put 2 different groups of students in those classes. I can clone that class. Instead of making it and going back and doing it all over again, I can clone it and push this button and say clone, and it's going to take me back to that same screen, and all the information is already going to be filled out for me. And then all I have to do is change little things. So maybe this is a 102 class. Instead of basic skills, maybe I'm going pre-secondary on this one. I'm still going to be the instructor. It's still meeting the same time period. I'm still allowing the same students. Everything is still the same, except for maybe I'm going to unclick all of these, and maybe I'm going to meet the first days. Maybe I'm going to meet from 5 to 5:30. And then all I have to do is click it again, and it's going to now take that 5 to 5:30. And again, I can click this one, and I can change this one to 6 o'clock over here. And I don't really like this time picker thing, but it's what we got. So I apologize for that up front. But I can save it from here. And now I have 2 of those classes. They're both active. They meet on different days. One is a 101 class, one is a 102 class. And if I search, let's see what I'll find. Oh, see, I did do one way a long time ago when we were training. So now I have the Learning Disney 101 and the Learning Disney 102. Any questions on how to create or clone a class?
Hey, Wendy.
Hey, Lisa.
In the notes section, can you put, would that be an appropriate place to put like the Zoom information?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can put Zoom information. You can put information on what the class is about, what might be required for the class. So maybe it's you have to score a minimum on the TABE of, 620. I don't know. That might be a good place to put that. Just depends on what you think is needs to go in that note section for that class. Maybe there's multiple teachers in that class. Maybe it's a walk-in only class, and so that can go in the notes section. Just whatever you feel is appropriate in that note section.
So is that note section something that can be printed with the class schedule? So the student would have
I
it?
do believe it does print, but we can go check it out.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go put somebody in that class and let's see if it does. So I have Ursula. I was already assisting her because I was testing some things out, but let's see if we put her in the class when we print out the schedule, what it looks like. So I'm going to her programs. Oops. She already has several classes that she's in. However, I'm going to create a new registration for her, and I'm going to add her to that Disney class. I'm going to register her. Let's back her up to 10:30. Let's filter it by learning Disney. Let's filter. We have the 2 classes. I'm going to put her in the 101. I'm going to register her. Oops. And then when I go to her class schedule, let's see what actually prints on her schedule. It doesn't look like the notes print.
Okay.
But the
Thanks.
times, the meeting times do. So when you print these off for the student, the notes look like, that's a really good question. And I did not know the answer to that. So I'm glad you asked. The notes don't print, but it does tell you whether it's a face-to-face or distance, what the class description is, what type of class, who the instructor is. So if you're going to put an instructor, this is really good for the student to know where the learning center is, the class beginning and end dates, and the meeting times. That was a great question. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to go back to managing adult education over here on the side. And we can go back in and we can edit those classes just as easily as we can create them, as we can clone them. We can also edit them. So I'm going to put learning. Let's filter. So let's say I got the days of the week wrong. And I want to go and I want to edit this one. I can also view it, but I can edit this and I can change any of this information. Maybe the teacher changed. Maybe I need to change the primary instructor on here so that when I print it for the student, maybe I'm going to, instead of making it to 11:30, maybe I'm going to make it end sooner. I can change the date there. Maybe I found that this isn't a very good distance ed class. Maybe it just needs to be face-to-face. I can change that attendance type, bearing in mind that anything that we've already added to the system and saved, it's going to stay with that. It's going to already be on those NRS tables. But I can change any of this information and then save it, and it's going to change it. So maybe I do need to change this day right here. Maybe I'm going to take off Tuesday because I found that nobody comes on Tuesday, and I'm going to save it to Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And now that class only meets on those days. So if I do look these two up and filter them, now that class, it doesn't show you on here, but now that class only meets 3 days a week versus 4 days a week. So it's just as easy to edit them as it is to clone them or to do anything else to them. Okay, any questions on how to manage your classes? Okay. So from here, we're going to go on the side again, and we're going to go to manage adult education, and we're going to skip class attendance or transfer right now, and we're going to go to manage class attendance. So I'm going to click on this one, and I know that nobody is in that Disney class. Well, one person is in there, but I do know that I have people in my math class. So I'm going to look up the math class and I'm going to filter for that math class. So this is another reason why class descriptions are um, they're important, because you can filter for them. And if you know the names of your classes and they're unique to you and they're unique to the students are going to understand them better, but also you're going to be able to filter a little bit better for them. So I just so happened that I put Wendy in them so that I would be able to find them. But this way, I know that in this advanced class, and I know in this beginning class or this basic class, I just wrote it down, basic class, there is a couple of people in this basic class. So for me, I'm going to select this because, my students just left and I'm going to go ahead and add attendance to this. So if you select, if you push select and you push it again, you're going to get a pop-up that says, hey, you're going to push it and it's not going to do anything. But if you keep pushing it, you're going to get this warning that says stop pushing it, basically, because your information is already at the bottom of the page. Okay, just kidding. It's not in the basic one. It's in the beginning. There's one person in the beginning. Okay, let's go to advanced. I know they're in there. There they are. Sorry. Okay, so in my advanced class, if you click on select and you go towards the bottom, I've got 3 people in my advanced class in the face-to-face or distance ed. They're both in there. I have to switch between the two. I can't just do distance ed. I cannot do face-to-face. Remember, they're 2 separate NRS tables, so they have to be tracked separately. You can't just put them together and say this person's distance ed and face-to-face 20 hours. You have to say how many is distance ed and how many is face-to-face. Now, I'm having trouble with this one because for some reason the training site thinks that it is 11:20, not 11:30. So if I tried to put in attendance for 12:03, by the way, it won't let me. It's grayed out. It won't let me put them in because 12:03 is the future. Even though, I know that today, 11:30, this person had 4 hours, but they're, I keep track for the week. I still can't put it on the week as of yet because the week has not finished. So I cannot put any in on 12:40. But I do know that for some reason, this training site has decided that it is 11:20. I just tested this today and couldn't figure out why it was grayed out, because I don't know why. Maybe it's an update, who knows. But James, it is grayed out for James. And the reason why is James is a closed case. He's done with this class. We've taken him out of this class. So it will not let me go back and add any more attendance for him, even though he was not successful or he was not closed out of this class. So he's showing up as an attendee on here, but he's done with this class. So either you're going to have to go back and take him successfully closed out of this case. No, I'm sorry. I successfully closed him out of this case, but he's still showing up until the end of this class period, until this class is done. But I can add attendance for this week for Carol. And this is my distance ed. So I'm going to say this week she had 20 hours, and Ursula, and let's say Ursula had, let's say 15 hours. And then if I go down and I save attendance, you will notice that both of these ladies are there. So you can see that all of these people, I can just go down and add the attendance for them until they close out of the attendance, or to close out of that or transfer from this class into a new class. because the class isn't closed, they'll still show up because I've added attendance already onto them in the previous sections. So maybe they transfer out of this class in, 11-1. I still have attendance for him prior to 11-1, but he's showing up here on 11-20, but I can no longer add attendance because he's no longer in this class. Any questions so far? Okay, so his distance ed is complete. I'm going to go back and I'm going to add his face-to-face now, or their face-to-face now. So same thing, face-to-face, maybe Carol had 15 hours. James, remember, is no longer in this class, so I cannot add any attendance to his record. And then Ursula, maybe she had 30 hours face-to-face. I'm going to save their attendance, and then attendance is done. So I can click the class roster down here, and it will show me who is in this class, and it'll show me the attendance for this week. So even though on Friday it says that there's no class because this class is not a Friday class, we have the option of not putting in attendance daily. We have the option of putting it in on the weekends or the weeks. So even though there's no class on Friday, we are okay if you add it up for Friday, or if for the month you add that up, and that's fine. But you'll see that on the class roster for this week, James is not on the class roster because he is no longer in this class. He was closed out. We either transferred him to a new class, he was in here, he's no longer in here. So it's fine that he's no longer on this class roster for this week. He was just here previously. If you need to turn this in to a probation officer, or, well, I guess you wouldn't with a whole class, but if you're trying to keep this track for your data entry person and you want to have a staff signature that, yes, all the people on your staff have been, all the hours have been inputted, you can sign the print it, sign it, and turn it into, let's say that I'm asking Donna to input all the hours. Donna can print this out and say, yes, all the hours are inputted. She can sign it, date it, and then I can keep it in the file for this class. So that's one way of keeping track. Any questions so far?
I have one question. I had to verify some student hours, and I was wondering if for one student, if there was an easier way to do it than how I had done it. So how would you do that if you wanted to verify a student for like the last couple of months?
Well, you can go into their record and print off their information, I believe. Can you not?
I wasn't sure about how you would do that from their individual record without, so it was a couple of different classes.
I believe you can, so we can go check that out, but I believe you can print it off on their individual record. The same way, like you can print off their attendance, the same as if you were to print it off. So one of the things with these links right here, and if you knew or if you didn't know, if you click on anything that is a blue link with an underline and you click on that, this is their state ID or their student number, and that will take you right to their record. So say I needed to go to Ursula's record, which I'm going to right now. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to see where she's at. So again, I'm going to go to, it's going to take me to her individual record, but then I don't have to go assist her, find her. She's already right there. So I can look her up and it doesn't have a way to print it off, does it? Huh. Linda, can you email me and ask the question, and then I'll ask the programmers if we can, if there's a way to verify a person's individual records that I don't see, and if not, if it's something that we can work on adding?
Sure.
Thank you. And then the question came up, we get an when we go to edit, it says that they have to test after 12 hours or prior to 12 hours, and that is correct. So if you're going to do attendance and you have not added, and I'm glad we're on this screen, if you have not added their pre-assessment, it will not let you put any attendance past 12 hours. And remember, that's a state rule, and you have to have a pre-test. So even if you have a person that is coming and you have not put their pre-test in, you have to go back and pre-test them and make sure that pre-test is in there. You have to pre-test them within that first 12 hours. And if the system is not recognizing your pre-test, it's because your pre-test is not in there. Okay. So I'm going to go down and, well, actually, I'm going to go up now. And I'm going to go back to those services for workforce staff, go back to manage adult education, and this time I'm going to manage class transfers. Now, this one is for classes that maybe your class is complete, maybe they've learned all they need to do, and now we're going to go back into it and we're going to transfer them all. We're going to do a bulk transfer. This isn't for one student that has completed a class and is moving on to another class. This is for maybe you have 5 or 6 students that are completing that series of classes and they're moving on to the next level. So now maybe they're going from beginning EL to intermediate EL, and you're going to follow them through a cohort. So you're going to transfer them all. But I'm going to put, because I know that I have 2 students in that math class, I'm going to transfer them today because they're doing fantastic. So I'm going to filter for my class, and I'm going to find, if I filter, it will show you that we have, here's all my classes, and here's the max number of students and the students that are in those classes. So I can select this secondary education advanced math class, and I can select on that one. And again, don't look for a pop-up, go down and it will show you which ones are able to be transferred. Now we transferred James already, so I'm not sure why he's allowed to be transferred, but we'll try it. It might say he's already been transferred. So I'm going to look at all of these 3 students. I'm going to transfer them as of today. I've got to have a class for them to transfer into. And I know I just did that Learning Disney one, and I know it's not the next one in that series, but I know there's no students in that one. So I'm going to filter that one. I'm going to do the 102 because as you can see, there's a max number of students here and how many students are actually registered. So if you have 3 students that you're trying to transfer into a class of 8 of 10, it won't let you unless you have on the back end allowed an additional past the max number of students on there. Remember, you had the max students and then there was the additional past the max number. If you have 10 and then there's 2 extra students, you can do that, but not all of them will allow you. I know there's no students in here. I know this is the class I want all 3 students to go into, so I'm going to transfer them into here. They're successfully transferred, all 3 of them. I'm not sure why all 3 of them. That's really weird. But now, if I go down, up or up, and I look for that same Learning Disney class and filter it, it will show me that there is now 3 of 10 students. And if I select it, I can see all 3 of those students were successfully transferred over there. So as of today, we can start adding attendance to those students in this class. We can't do it yesterday. It won't allow it because they were not in this class until today. And so as of today, we can start adding attendance for this 3 students. Any questions so far?
Wendy, there is a question.
Yep.
I think this is in regards to the question that Linda had been talking about. Heidi says, isn't there a report called class attendance by individual? Can you see that one?
Yes,
Report
there
by
is.
students attendance.
There is, Linda. That is correct. If that's the one that you're looking for, look for that one and see if that's the one you're wanting to pull. And that's available for teachers, and it's in the detailed reports. If you go to detailed reports down here, right here, if you go to adult education and you pull class attendance by individual, see if that's the one. And if you're still struggling with that, then shoot me another email. I totally forgot about that. Thank you, Heidi. That's awesome. Thanks for helping each other out. Any other questions on attendance, or I'm sorry, transferring students from one class to another class? Okay, that's the 3 functions of managing adult education, either managing the classes, managing the transfer, or managing the attendance. They're pretty easy and pretty quick once you get used to them. There are some that definitely ask for some information that sometimes you are not sure you have to have. Remember, with managing classes, if they don't have an asterisk next to them, you don't have to have them. But as you've seen with the teacher's name, when we go to print the schedule for the students, it makes it easier to have. Also, the days per week or the hours that you guys meet, it very much transfers onto the students' record. So you don't have to have it, but it does make it easier for the student. Transfers and attendance, once you, this is the bulk way of doing it. You definitely can go in student by student, but if you know that you're doing attendance for one class, why not pull that one class and do the attendance all, one right after the other? It makes it a lot easier. Any other questions? I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to stop recording. And I'm going to stay around for the next 10 minutes because you guys can stick around and ask me anything you'd like, or I will see you guys on Friday.
So also, let's see, a question was asked about 12 hours. A 12-hour is a full-time student. And somehow I sent that message to everyone waiting in the waiting room.
Okay. Yes. Oh, 12
Did
hours
I,
is a full-time student.
Somebody did ask that question.
Yes. I did
And
see that.
that's 12 work hours
12 contact hours. So
with contact hours. Yeah.
12
Okay.
contact hours. So that includes TABE, that includes orientation, that includes any kind of study time. So 12 contact hours would be considered a full-time student. And that's why the rule is that they have to be TABed within the first 12 hours.
Hey, Wendy, this is Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
So Renee and I are both on, and one of the things that I wanted to ask you was about the permissions that Renee has right now. And I know that there's some delineation between program coordinator and other data entry folks, as well as the teachers. But I just wanted to make a pitch, I guess, for Renee to get, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go in the other room, to get the same permissions that I do, because right now I'm on a very limited schedule. And so, and she's has as much training as I do, and she actually has more practice in the system than me. So I was just hoping that she could get basically the program coordinator access, at least until we have more flexibility after COVID is impacting our program so much. I'm working entirely remotely, and she's doing a combo of on-site and remote, and she's working a lot more hours. So, I mean, you don't have to answer now, but I just wanted you to give that some thought, and also to make us both available if you had questions or things like that.
Okay. It's definitely something to consider, and we will, yeah, let me set up a time for me, you, Donna, and Renee to discuss it.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, Wendy.
Yes.
I had a question about the distance ed contract that's on the website. So I noticed it doesn't have a signature for a student. Do you want the students to sign that?
So one of the things that we have moved away from this year is, with the new system, is signatures for students.
Yeah, okay.
One of the reasons prior to COVID is because of COVID. The learning contract needs to be something that it should be signed by the student, but we are well aware that right now during COVID, that it is not altogether possible for students to sign that thing. But you need to be going over it with students, especially if one of the things that is on there is you can't loan out adult ed equipment, right? That's something that we can't do. But if you're loaning out equipment, they need to be full aware that you expect to get it back so that you can loan it out to somebody else. So that's one of the things that you're going over with them. And it's just a reminder for you to explain that to them, and also that it's a way for you to gauge whether they're fully committed to adult or to and I use the words fully committed in the loosest possible sense, because we never can gauge whether our students are committed right or not, because somebody will walk in and we'll be like, wow, that person's going to graduate in a week, and we'll have them for off and on for 8 years. And then somebody will walk in and we'll be like, I don't know if we'll ever see that one again. And then the next thing we know is they're graduating, right? So we can never gauge somebody. But it's a way to start the conversation and see if it's just to hold them accountable is what it is. And so it's one of the things that we need to do for Octave is how do we hold students accountable? And so the learning contract is what we came up with. And it's not to hinder you guys as much as it does hinder you guys. It shouldn't hinder you guys. So we are trying to move, as a state, we are trying to move away from signatures as much as possible. But we know as a program that some of you guys still require them. So it's up to you whether you require them. The one thing that we do is if Donna and I call a student and say, hey, you guys were on a distance ed. Did somebody go over the distance ed contract with you? If they don't answer yes, or they say we don't know what that is, and we explain to them what it is it something that's consistent, or is it one person who fell asleep and didn't understand it? So that's just one of those survey things that we do. That's a really long answer for your very short question.
Yeah, and I also wanted to ask about the, in my case, like if I'm having the shareholder resource coordinators do this with them out in the villages, would they have to sign the staff signature
They
part?
can.
Okay, while I would sign the regional coordinator part of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure if it was okay if they signed the staff part.
Yep, definitely.
Okay.
Wendy, I have a quick question.
Hi, Hugh.
Hey there. Hey, could you remind me again, how many contact hours or instruction hours is it before they, in most cases, take the tape test again? We're looking for improvement.
40 at minimum. I believe okay, who's read it lately? I think it says 60 to 80, correct? 40 is the minimum. 60 to 80 on the contract, or in the, I just wrote.
Yeah, remember coming up.
Recommended.
60 to 80?
Recommended, I think.
Recommended.
If you're on adult ed levels 1 through 4, it is 40 hours before testing. 60 hours is what's recommended. If you were in adult ed levels 5 and 6, it's 30 to 59 hours of instruction is recommended.
Okay, thank you. I remember that coming up in our last meeting or a couple meetings ago, and I remember hearing 80, and then early on when I started, I thought it was 45 or something. So
okay, all those numbers, you do not have to keep in your head. As you can see, I don't keep them in my head most of the time. They go out of my head so quickly. Mm-hmm. They are all in the assessment guide. So that way, if you need to look it up in the assessment manual, mm-hmm. you can quickly look it up in the TABE section. And I tried to make that as condensed as possible so that you can quickly find it. And I believe that it's about the third section down in the TABE the CASAS is in there. I'm waiting for that one to be approved, and also the BEST is in there as well. The minimum requirements are recommended requirements from the publishers in there. So if you look in the assessment manual, it's all in there.
I'll see it. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, and you know where to find that, right?
Actually, I don't.
It's all on our website under
And
the
that-
teacher resources.
I figured it was going to be there. Okay.
You guys are learning.
Thank you very much. I'm glad
Of
I'm
course.
glad we have that. Anyway, so thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I have
So Wendy,
a
I
question.
just put,
Go ahead, Pamela.
I just wrote it in the chat box, but there is a waiver that you can get signed for less than
Yes.
40 hours.
Yes, there is that waiver. So Hugh, if that's also on our website. I think it's at the same location. No, it's not. The manual's at the very top. Under the, Donna, do you remember what section on the website under teacher resources? If you have a student that you want to TABE sooner, because they're really making progress and you really want to see if they're going to make those those measurable gains, and you want to see where they're at before you do the GED testing, and you want to TABE them sooner than recommended, there is a waiver there, and all you have to do is sign off on it, and there is to be some kind of justification, as in like, students blowing everything out of the water and I really think that they need to TABE. So, I mean, I'm not gonna be like, hey, you TABed somebody way too fast and they plummeted. That's, as long as it's fair to them, then by all means, yeah, use that waiver. It just needs to be a justification as to why we're not sticking to the recommendation.
When we used to do it, we would tape them, do their pre-tape, and then we would do an intensive study course, which could go anywhere from 20 to 40 hours.
Yeah.
And then, like, let's say we were doing math,
Minute.
and then we would post-tape them, and we were trying to see, how much gains they were getting, more for our evaluation,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest.
Yeah.
Are we being effective? Is the course worth it?
That's a really good example. Thank you, Pamela. That's a really good example, is those intensive courses, especially like you, if you decide to do an intensive like course that you have, in your prison, and you want to see if they've made any gains after that intensive, you can use that certification or that justification and sign off onto why you're doing the TABE sooner rather than later.
So Wendy, it's under the intake.
Under the intake, thank you, Donna, on the teacher resources page.
I have a question in regards to the distance learning student contract.
Hi, Heidi.
I will say that I'm not very familiar with this thing. And evidently we must have students complete this form. So I would say we haven't been doing that. So, okay, first off, what happens if we haven't had people completing this thing? And second of all, do we have to have people complete this form?
So according to the assessment manual, we do. And so
Okay.
that was something that has been approved by Octave. It is something that I'm revisiting with Octave and seeing if we can do things a little bit differently when I turn in the next reiteration. Oh man, that's a hard word for me. The next time around. The next manual to see, because it's just, especially with COVID, especially with our students, it's just one of those, instead of must, I think it needs to be a tool for you guys to use if you need it versus must have. So it's something we're going to be revisiting.
Wendy, didn't you just say that they don't need to sign it anymore?
They don't need to sign it anymore.
So it's basically that they're going to do they are going to participate doing distance learning.
Yeah.
And
So
Um,
we're
so-
not requiring, we're not requiring. That doesn't mean that your programs are not requiring. And if your programs are requiring signatures, they need to sign it across the board. So if you're going to require signatures on intake, you need to require signatures on distance ed, you need to require signatures across the board. So if you're signing things, you need to sign things, right? Does that make
That's
sense?
what we're doing.
Okay.
We mail everything out in one bulk and then talk to the students and then they mail it back or
Yeah.
scan it.
So, or DocuSign, if you guys, I'm supporting DocuSign right now, because I think that it is, and I know that not everybody can use it. I know that our state is huge and not everybody, it's going to work for everybody, but it works for some people. And I am more than willing to have you guys put it on the grant, because right now it's far safer for you guys to send a completed intake, let me back that up, that you guys have done with them, complete, for them to sign through DocuSign versus having them come in or all those other good things. So I will support you guys purchasing DocuSign for your programs. It's safer, and I'm all about making you guys safe as possible.
So in regards to this contract here, if we don't require signatures, as long as we've gone over these points with the student, we're good.
Yeah.
And as far as proof that we've gone over these with the student, since there's no signature, do we still have like a form on file, or?
Anybody want to answer that? What's my proof? Ever.
I always keep the forms on file.
But if you're not
Unfortunately,
signing it, what's going to be the proof?
I can't answer that.
Oh God, you guys are killing me. You need to case note it. So that's why we
Case
have the
note.
case notes.
Okay.
So if you are case noting it and you're saying, we went over this with the student, then if we then contact this student and the student says, hey, I have no idea what you're saying, but then student B says, oh yeah, they went over that with me. Student C said they went over that with me. We can go back and be like, okay, student A doesn't remember, that's fine. But you know, as long as you're doing it consistently and you're putting in the case note that says, you know, the whole thing is that it has to be uploaded. The contract has to be uploaded. If you're not having them sign it, you can put a case note that says we went over this. I just need something, so it's fine.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, we do go over these points, but this and then some, I guess. There's a few others we kind of added to it, but I guess not specifically what's on this. So we'll have to change our verbiage, I guess, to state this, I guess. That'd
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the question about the class attendance. So I'm looking at the few different things. One is student contact report. So I thought I could try that because class attendance by individual did not seem to get me there. It got me to individuals in specific classes, but some of them weren't even in my program. Some of them are from, I don't know
Heidi,
what-
is that the report that we're having redone?
It is, but I went and just tried it just now, and I was able to type in one person's name. If I typed in that one person's name, just only that one person's classes came up.
Okay.
I would prefer it to be like by location. We can have everybody's names, but only my location. Yeah.
So I tried that as well, and I did not get that that person at all. And I think it's because the person is inactive. So I put down all, because the choices there are active only, exited, or all. And when I put down all for current program year, and I put last name and then comma first name, I did not get that person.
Didn't get the same one. Okay.
Yeah, so I just thought that was kind of interesting. Yeah.
The class attendance by individual is definitely, that's one that we're looking at. They're redoing it right now. Heidi pointed out that there's not location in this one. It's the only one without location. And when I said, hey, where's the location? They're like, nobody's asked for that yet. And I'm like, okay, we're asking for it. And so they're putting it in there. So let's see. Let's go.
Maybe you there's an extra thing that you put in there, Heidi, to get that working. What I did is I went to that individual student and then I went to class attendance by individual